Lady Justina Penford had had a tiring day. The first of her guests for the opening of the grouse season next week, on the glorious 12th, had already arrived, 3 days before their due date. The house staff had not had time to air their usual suite of rooms, and the ground staff had to take time away from their preparations for the hunt to mow the croquet lawn and the tennis courts. Why on earth the von Schneider cousins wanted to play almost as soon as they had arrived, Lady Penford had no idea. It had annoyed her, but not surprised her. That branch of the family, her late husband's family, had always taken liberties with her hospitality, and if it weren't for her grown children's fondness for the cousins from Germany, and the guilt she still carried about the loss of their father, she would have spoken about it years ago. But there were certain things one did not speak of if one wanted to keep the peace, certain secrets that must, at all costs, remain unspoken. With a wave of her hand, Lady Penford dismissed her maid, Parker. "Should I close the curtains before I leave, your ladyship?" asked the maid, knowing her mistress often took a nap in the afternoon. "No, I'll do it myself." Parker curtsied and left her mistress alone. Lady Penford walked to the window and looked out over her vast ancestral estate. Beyond the magnificent house, the gravel drive, the manicured lawns and the ancient woodland which had been planted in the days of Henry Tudor, were moorland and farmland, stretching all the way to the North Sea coast. And it was there that the true Penford wealth lay, deep under the ground in coal seams that for the past 2 centuries had made the family one of the richest in the region, and the Penford name one to be proud of. Lady Penford picked up a gilt-framed photograph on her dressing table. It was of her 4 children in happier times, before the war. The children were playing at a family picnic. The 2 older boys, who would be taken from her a few years later, and the younger 2, her only daughter, and her very last boy. Sweet, sweet Teddy. The last chance to keep the Penford name alive. Poor Teddy. Why was life such a struggle for him? She stroked the photograph with her finger and placed it back on the table, then kicked off her satin-heeled shoes and stretched out on top of her bed. A short nap would rejuvenate her. She needed to be on her best form to entertain her guests this evening, and to ensure that Teddy would not embarrass her. She had just started to nod off when there was a light knock at the door. It was enough to wake her. She sighed. Could the household not survive without her for just 1 hour? "Who is it?" she called. There was no answer, but an envelope was slipped under the door. Lady Penford thought of leaving it until after her nap, but curiosity got the better of her. She swung her long legs in their satin house pyjamas off the bed and padded over to the door. The envelope was addressed to Lady Penford, Penford Manor. It had been typed. She took the envelope to her writing bureau and slid it open with a mother-of-pearl letter opener. There was a single folded page encasing a dried, pressed cornflower. Lady Penford's heart quickened. Surely, it can't be. She held the flower between thumb and forefinger as she read the note. Then the flower fell from her grasp as the words sank in. Dear God, no. Lady Penford's hand clutched at her throat. Someone knew her secret. She flung open the door and looked left and right. The corridor was empty. Whoever had delivered the note was gone. Lady Penford's eyes narrowed. But I'll find them. On my children's graves, I'll find them.